Good evening and welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight. The housing crisis continues. Damp, mould and condensation. The Doncaster tenant who says 3 years of living like this is enough.
If something good can come off this, even if I got evicted and I was homeless, if something good comes of this and more people start speaking out and there's a new law that comes out where they have to deal with stuff like this, then so be it.
Landlords now say they are sending someone out to inspect. Also tonight, raring to go, Home First Eden prepares to jet off for neuroblastoma treatment in America after a mammoth fundraising campaign.
Merry Christmas, thank you for well wishes. I hope you enjoy Love Santa.
The Christmas video that's gone viral for a Yorkshire filmmaker.
Join us in Scarborough where we are feeling festive.
3, 2, 1.
Thanks to the Watkinson family and the big switch on of their Christmas lights.
Well, how pleasant to see brighter skies across a good part of our region. But what about the weekend? Join me for that detailed forecast.
Hello and thank you for joining us this Friday evening. Tonight, yet again, we're talking mould. Kerry Barlow from Doncaster got in touch with Look North when we reported on a couple from Chesterfield who had repeatedly asked for help because of damp and mould in their home. Kerry has lived with the problem for more than 3 years. The mould is on walls, windows, clothes, pictures and even carpets. Now Kerry fears the health of her family is being affected. She says it's time for legislation to force landlords to take action and other tenants must speak out. Our social affairs correspondent Emma Glasby has more.
It's just horrendous.
This is the mould above my front door.
All around the frame and all down the side there. I'm just finding mould everywhere, all the time. I scrubbed it last Monday. I scrubbed it and put loads of stuff that's supposed to be for mould on it. But it's come back.
Kerry lives at this house in Doncaster with her teenage son. She's rented the home for 8 years and says the mould has been bad for at least 3 years. Kerry tries to keep the house well ventilated and uses the heating, but says it's a constant battle.
It smells horrendous. If you had a cold, it'd clear your nose. It's that bad. It's damp, it's mouldy. It's a small room. It's not hard to heat. Gets more condensation on the windows than any of them sometimes. Even the bedding has got a bit of mould on.
There's mould in almost every room, on household items, clothes and shoes.
When I scrub it, you can guarantee a couple of days and it's back again. But it is wet on the walls and it's wet across all of there at the top. But it's like to think that I've got my heating on and there's still condensation. And I can't open a window there, so not a lot I can do about that. This is my coat with mould on. I've had a lot of them with mould on. I've had to sling a lot of them. Yesterday I couldn't stop crying, so I rang my mum in tears. My mum's even said, just pack all your stuff up and come and live with me. But she ain't got enough room for me and my son.
With mould even spreading onto photos, precious items are packed away. But Kerry's concerned about the health impact.
Worst part about it all, I've got Raynaud's disease, so I have to be warm. This is my worst nightmare, of sleeping with my windows open every night. My son's now poorly. He's got a chest infection, which the doctors have said could be down to the damp. I'm getting chesty, and it's getting harder and harder to cope with it all.
The house is owned by a private landlord who's used different property agencies, most recently Northwood in Doncaster.
They've said that they're chasing the landlord. They said that a contractor will be contacting me about my damp. No one's contacted me. If I could afford to move, I would, but I can't. Everywhere that is up for renting now, if you're lucky enough to get one, it's so expensive. If something good can come off this, even if I got evicted and I was homeless, if something good comes of this and more people start speaking out and there's a new law that comes out where they have to deal with stuff like this, then so be it, because it's just not fair.
Yeah, it looks pretty miserable, doesn't it? Well, after Look North got in touch with the managing agents for the property, Northwood UK, they told us they were now working with Kerry to identify potential problems with her home. And in a statement, they added, an authorised damp-proofing expert has been already in contact with the tenant, and an appointment has been made to carry out a full inspection with her when she is next available, which is next Wednesday. Once we have a full and extensive report, we will continue to advise the tenant of the findings and any recommendation or action that will be taken to remedy the issues. Well, earlier I spoke to Darren Baxter from the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, and I asked him why landlords are so slow to respond to tenants.
So we know that the regulations governing the private rented sector are just not fit for purpose. So the private rented sector has doubled in the last 20 years, but the rules and the laws that govern it haven't kept pace with that growth. And the range of people that now live in the private rented sector, there are more families, there are more older people who are retiring into it, but we still kind of regulate it in the way we did in the past. And there are two particular problems. So one is the rules governing minimum levels of conditions are just not fit for purpose. They're not tight enough, they're not strong enough. So if we applied the same sort of regulations we do to social housing, that's sort of housing rented by councils and housing associations, about a fifth of all properties would fail to meet them. That's about 1 million homes that are rented by landlords which have problems like mould and damp, as in this clip. And the second is that there is a massive power imbalance between tenants and landlords. Landlords can evict a tenant with just 2 months' notice for no reason. That's called a no-fault eviction. So a tenant could be paying their rent, be looking after their house, they could be doing everything that is in their tenancy agreement and still be evicted with very little notice. So too many tenants fear complaining about conditions like this for fear of reprisal. So we need to address those two issues.
Yeah, what needs to change, Darren?
Well, we need much tougher rules regarding conditions in the private rented sector, and they need to be enforced by councils. And we need to get rid of no-fault evictions to rebalance the power between tenants and landlords. Luckily, government have actually pledged to do this. They first said they would do it in 2019, and there was a white paper published earlier in the year which set out, sweeping new rule changes which would really address some of these real issues with insecurity, with poor conditions. But as of yet, the timeline on that is really vague, and what government needs to do is bring forward that legislation as soon as possible.
And we will be watching with interest. Darren, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Well, we did ask the government about the hopes for legislation, but no one was available to give us a response. Now, last week we reported from Chesterfield, where Paul and Lisa Bruff's council-owned bungalow was so damp they had redecorated 3 times and replaced rotten furniture. Well, since then, Look North reported on their situation. Their home has been assessed and they're awaiting installation of a unit which will remove the damp. Now, earlier this year, Look North followed the journey of a special little girl called Eden. 6-year-old Eden had been diagnosed with neuroblastoma and she was undergoing chemotherapy. But if she recovered, the best option to prevent the disease coming back was treatment in America. And that had a £500,000 price tag. Well, tomorrow, Eden is leaving for New York to get that treatment, and her family want to say a big thank you. Abby Jayola reports.
And it says, "Good luck, Eden." And there's an aeroplane because I'm going to fly to America.
Happy, chatty, and most of all, healthy. Eden's classmates have made her good luck cards as she embarks on the next step in her recovery journey. She's had a gruelling 18 months of cancer treatment, but she's now in remission.
It's been 18 months of hard work, and tough for the family, but Eden's come through it with a smile, as she always does. And yeah, she's, we really couldn't wish to be in a better place, on this date. And then it's just the start of a new chapter. We've ended the chapter of the UK treatment. We start a new chapter, with the vaccine trial. Definitely famous for your tutus.
Eden and her dad will fly to New York tomorrow. Mum and sister will join them before Christmas, so Eden can take part in a 3-year vaccine trial, a series of injections that could reduce the chance of her neuroblastoma returning.
Chances of relapse for neuroblastoma, the percentages are quite high. and this trial is there to reduce those chances. So, you know, any percentage we can help with, you know, that it's worth taking as a parent, it's worth taking for Eden. You know, it's something that we thought we had to do.
This charity walk was one of a series of fundraising events that the local community organised over the last year to raise more than £500,000 to pay for Eden's treatment.
And everywhere you go, you can see it. You can see the, you know, the thirst for raising the money, the dedication, the messages you get from people saying, look, you know, it's given them a purpose, you know, to help us. So yeah, can't thank them enough.
So how is Eden feeling about jetting off to America?
A bit scared, although I'll be with Daddy. So I'm gonna be okay. I'm not gonna worry.
Over the next 3 years, the family will face frequent visits to New York to complete the trial. But Eden's packed and ready and still smiling. Abby Jaola, BBC Look North, Home Firth.
And we wish Eden the very best with that treatment. And Eden, I am loving the tutus. Best of luck. Now, some news in brief, and serious concerns have been raised about maternity services at York Hospital. It's after a 3-day unannounced inspection in October by the Care Quality Commission. It's listed problems, including temporary closures of the maternity unit and the availability of essential monitoring equipment. The hospital's chief executive says there's an awful lot of work to do to address the issues. There's been more strike action on the rails affecting passengers in South Yorkshire today. Members of Unite from East Midlands Railway have walked out as part of a long-running dispute over pay. Routes from Sheffield to Luton, Nottingham and London have been affected. The strike will continue tomorrow and passengers are being asked to check before they travel. The airspace around Doncaster Sheffield Airport is to be downgraded as part of the winding down process at the site. The airport will stop providing air traffic control services from tomorrow after halting passenger flights last month. This means pilots will no longer have to speak to controllers for permission to fly in the area. Now, there's been a big rise in the number of people sleeping rough in Yorkshire. The most recent data shows an increase of 53%, from just over 107 people to 164. There are many schemes underway to support people who don't have a home or are at risk of losing theirs. Well, one is a social enterprise in Rotherham. Labraze Hope says it has a unique and successful way of tackling the problem. Now it wants to help people across the country, as Tom Ingle reports.
Once all oil's melted, it gets to about 85, 90. It'll be time we can add as lye, sodium hydroxide.
There's precision in every movement. The aromas are overpowering, but it's the Labraze Hope vision that's a knockout.
It's all about really giving people who've been out of work for a while the resources they need to gradually reintegrate into work and society.
And some of those out of work are, or are at risk of becoming homeless. There are 14 people working here, producing environmentally friendly soaps and candles.
I spent a little bit of time sofa surfing. I slept in a couple sheds, a garage, things like that of that nature. And then I ended up seeking help through the mental health system, who eventually put me onto Crisis, who eventually put me onto Labraze.
We do more than just provide jobs. We also provide classroom-based wellness sessions.
Labraze is ready to grow, but that means a lot more than just selling extra smellies. The income derived drives fundamentally more important social impact. They're setting out on a campaign to raise £50,000 so they can spread beyond Rotherham and even South Yorkshire.
So the £50,000 is just about helping us, make sure that we reach our end goal, which is ending homelessness across the UK in a way which sees the person as an individual by, giving them what they really, really need to help them build their confidence and realise who they are as a person and, achieve their inner potential.
I don't feel I need to worry anymore. I've got a sustained income. It's not just sustainable employment, it is absolutely a network.
Success might smell sweet, but this first year of business has shown Labraze could just have a recipe to really change lives. Tom Ingle, BBC Look North, Rotherham.
Yes, indeed. It's going from strength to strength. Now, how's this for a story? 80 years ago today, a Royal Navy destroyer, HMS Quentin, was torpedoed and sank off the coast of North Africa. On board was Sub-Lieutenant Alfred Kirkham, who helped men from the sick bay escape onto another ship. He was one of the last to get to safety. Well, Alfred kept makeshift diaries while he served during the Second World War, but it was decades before his son Frank, who lives in Sheffield, managed to carefully transcribe his father's words.
I've just popped back into the sick bay to write up this diary. My late father, Alfred Kirkham, volunteered for the Royal Naval Volunteer Reserve in February 1941. He finds himself on HMS Quentin, a destroyer which had been built at the beginning of 1942. There are not many good things about lockdown, but I had time on my hands and so I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll transcribe this diary. I think it probably took me 3 weeks, working on it for 2 or 3 hours a day. Wednesday, the 2nd of December, 06:45, and all sleep was disturbed by a thunderous explosion, followed immediately by the hiss of escaping steam. Quentin indeed was torpedoed on the 2nd of December. Destroyer that it was nearby, HMAS Quiberon, turned round and glided alongside, and there was then the frantic effort to jump across and in Dad's case, help sick people get across. And he was one of the last to leave. But he had got time to dash back to the sick bay and grab 3 things: his Bible, his photograph of my future mother, and this diary. It was difficult lifting badly injured men on board, but it was done. The poor chap who had been lying near the torpedo tubes where the torpedo had struck was given a big dose of morphia and left. Has it helped? Yes, it has, very much so, because I can hear his voice saying a lot of these things that are in here, and that's nice. It's interesting that if that was what was happening to him, it would have been happening to thousands of other people as well who would have been separated from their loved ones during a horrible, horrible conflict.
Yes, indeed. Now, it seems that Christmas has come early for a young video production company based in Cleckheaton. Sam Teal Productions released their Christmas video just 2 days ago, and it's already had more than 7 million views on social media. Yes, you heard me right, 7 million views. Well, before we speak to Sam, here's a taste.
Look! Merry Christmas, thank you for well wishes. I hope you enjoy. Love, Santa. Merry Christmas, Mummy.
Sam and Ashton join me now. Sam, just first of all, tell us about the production. It's very moving, isn't it?
Yeah. Every single year we try and make a Christmas advert. This year, obviously, because of the cost of living crisis, we thought we'd try and leverage that a little bit and try show a real Christmas between a father and son struggling during the crisis. And I think we've done a pretty good job, and social media certainly thinks so as well.
And it's a very small production, isn't it? This is not a big...
No, not at all. Exactly. The supermarkets will probably have floors and floors of creatives ready for it. Ours, 4 people, me, Jack, Ellie and Sam, all sat down in November and we did a bit of a meeting, and 4 of us somehow in 2 months have managed to create something like you just said, has got 7.8 million views.
Wow.
And 230,000 shares. It's absolutely incredible.
Good grief, it's going up by the minute, isn't it? And can we talk to Ashton now, the star of the show. Ashton, how old are you?
6.
You're 6. Just tell me about, this was your first acting role, wasn't it? Just tell me what you had to do.
I had to, like, do stuff with my fake dad.
A fake dad? And did you have to be pretending to be his fake son? Did you have to talk?
Yeah.
What did you say?
When I came down, they had to say the word that was just on then.
Wow, and are you surprised about how many people have seen it? Not even in this country, but across the world.
Yeah.
You've gone global.
He was amazing in it. The first time he's ever acted properly, and honestly incredible. Wasn't it fun? We had some fun, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And you're not a stranger to this, are you, Sam? You've done quite a few things in the past, haven't you?
Yeah. We try and make community-based videos every single year for Christmas, based in our local area, Robert Town, Norristock, Kirklees type of area, because it's never on the telly, never positively shown.
You're putting Yorkshire on the map here.
We're trying, and like we just said, 7 million people have seen our area now, and the rec that I grew up in, the park that I used to go in with my parents and my grandma, 7 million people have seen that. That's absolutely insane. Sam, who's part of the team, we use his house as well, his parents are sat here now, they've just watched their house on the telly that 7 million people have seen. It's honestly incredible. And this man just smashed it. His first advert and 7 million people have seen him. And it's growing by the second. I think every 2-3 hours, we're hitting another 100,000 views. So hopefully within the next, maybe, half an hour to an hour, we should be on 8 million. And that is incredible.
And what next, dare I ask? I mean, you're only 20 yourself, aren't you? You've got your whole future ahead of you.
You know what? I don't know. John Lewis or Sainsbury's, anybody, any big supermarkets, you know where we are. We can do a great video. Yeah. We've managed, like I said, to create a nice little community in the comment section, people who have related to the video in different ways. It's honestly amazing. I'm so buzzing. As a team, we're so buzzing. And to be fair, the growth hasn't stopped beyond the video. I don't know where it'll end up, but I just think making more magic, making more people emotional, I think that's our aim.
Fantastic. Well, Ashton, I'm sure you're going to be breaking lots more hearts before Christmas is even here.
The next James Bond, his mum was telling me earlier.
I can see it. You saw him here first, everybody. An absolute superstar. Lovely to meet you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, staying on the festive theme, there's a special garden in Scarborough that has been lit up for Christmas for the past few years. Thousands of lights and even a steam train has brought joy to many. But the soaring cost of energy meant Nigel Watkinson had to think seriously about whether he could repeat his extravaganza this year. Nicola Rees is finding out what he decided to do.
Well, we are feeling festive in Scarborough tonight. Welcome to the Watkinsons family home. From the front, it looks like an ordinary house on an ordinary street, but follow us into the back. I mean, you have already seen. Well, have you ever seen anything like it? It's absolutely spectacular. Hundreds upon hundreds of twinkly lights and baubles have transformed this garden, you might have noticed there's a train going through, into a winter wonderland. And here's the man behind it, Nigel. How on earth have you managed this?
Well, I sat in August this year and I've been working all my spare time and holidays, get it all done.
3-4 months?
Yes, definitely. It's some doing. I've been doing it for 21 years with my good friend who sadly passed away a couple of years ago. Been raising money for charity. We've probably raised about 20,000-30,000 over the last 20 years.
Tell us about how many lights, how many strings, how have you managed it?
There's about 265 lights, which is about 30,000 LEDs.
And it's all for a very good cause because people are coming this evening and they're making a donation so they can view the lights. Tell us what that's all about.
It's for St Catherine's Hospice. They were very kind in looking after my father in these last few days and I thought I'd return the favour.
And we can't talk about this many lights without mentioning the electricity bill. You've had some good news there as well.
Yes, my electric supplier Eon have written off my electric bill for this month, which is wow.
So that's all going to charity as well?
It is, yes, thank you.
It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
We've got to have a look at this train, haven't we, while we're here. Andy's a friend of Nigel's and he's driving the steam train and here he comes. How's it going, Andy?
Very well. Yeah.
And he's giving rides to all the little children who come around the garden.
That's right.
What kind of a reaction have you had?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, the kids love it.
There can't be many gardens around here with a steam train.
Certainly isn't, no.
Are you happy to take us to the end of the line while we say our goodbyes?
Certainly am.
Can you move along a little bit?
No problem at all.
So I hope we've left you feeling quite festive from this garden in Scarborough. And if you've got any Christmas stories, please do get in touch, especially if you've got one that you think might rival the Watkinson family. It could be you this time next week. We could be coming to a street near you. Away we go. Yay. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, wonderful. Nicola having the time of her life there. Now we're on to the weather. Are your decorations up yet, Paul?
No, I'm tempted this weekend. I might go up this weekend, but I mean, seasonal weather, that's going to be quite something next week. Much colder weather on the way. I'll talk about that in a minute. Just a few pictures I want to share with you. The first one, there's loads going on here. This, fantastic wilderness shot, Horton in Ribblesdale, looking towards Whernside, of course, Yorkshire's biggest peak. But if you look very carefully in the sky, there's some lenticular clouds as well. I'm sure you all spotted that at home. So a lovely picture from Andy. Brightness at last, that's Horsforth Park in Leeds this afternoon. We've not seen the sun since Sunday in some spots. And this is a fantastic one looking down the Hope Valley. You can just see the cement works there in the far distance and a little bit of that mist and patchy fog. Keep the pictures coming in if you're out and about this weekend, Instagram, Twitter and on the Weather Watcher website. So in the short term, temperatures remain around about average 6, 7, 8 degrees, something of that order. But by the middle of next week, much colder weather on the way with widespread frost. And I think we could well see some scattered sleet, hail and snow showers in places, but not yet. There's a headline tomorrow, sun intervals and scattered showers. If anything, this east to northeaster will pick up over the weekend and into early next week. So although temperatures close to normal, there will be a wind chill, and then from Wednesday we'll see a much colder north or northeasterly, bringing that colder air across all of us. Now, the satellite picture shows the much more broken clouds. So, in general, it has been a brighter afternoon across Yorkshire, and we keep those breaks going this evening and overnight. The cloud could be thick enough when it comes in to produce a few rain showers, mainly across eastern areas. Further west, it should stay dry, and here there'll be a fairly widespread ground frost. In fact, some spots could be around freezing point, so watch out for 1 or 2 icy patches. So tomorrow's high water time, Scarborough at 12:52 and Filey at just short of 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So it's a bright and breezy day tomorrow. There will be some sunshine. Also, as you can see, a scattering of showers, fairly few and far between. I think many western areas should get away with a dry day, but further east there will be 1 or 2 showers, and temperatures close to the long-term average for December. That's around about 7, possibly 8 degrees. So let's have a look at that further outlook. I think generally more cloud on Sunday. Those showers a little bit more frequent as well, especially in eastern areas. And then Monday and Tuesday, quite a lot of cloud, 1 or 2 showers. But look at that drop off in temperatures Wednesday, Thursday and Friday next week. Scattered wintry showers and sharp frost possible at night too. That's the forecast.
Bobble hat and hot water bottle at the ready.
Indeed.
Thank you very much, Paul. That's it from us. Do have a lovely weekend, whatever you have planned. We'll be back with the late news and weather just after 10 o'clock. Hope you can join us then. Goodbye.